go. Have a seat. All right, good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
How was class? It was great. A bunch of new people. They need another small group background. Is there one? Ask Ricky Williams. All right. We have a great training prepared. We have some references to go through before we get started. We're going to split up for orientation. January 20th. So the sun is out. And my sunglasses there from me. Love it. Who has people back in class? You got one. Raise one. Just one. Not more than one. All right. Round of applause for these guys. Okay, I'm sorry. Are we tired in here?
Nope.
No. Some of y'all, I know you don't play golf. Why are you clapping like that? There might be one or two golf players in here. Come on. Clap for our teammates. They have people in licensing class. It's January 20th. People are there, ready to get licensed. There's 25 people in the room. Going to sit through a 6-hour licensing class because there's a crack in the door for an opportunity. That's what it is. And Monday morning, most of them have to go back to their job. And they came on, so they have a 48-hour window to watch cartoons, hang out with their family, sleep in. They came here on Saturday morning. Some of them probably up all night. Some of them got to take a test. They're scared to death about that. And they're in there in the heat. Ricky's doing an unbelievable job. I walked in there. Everybody's laughing, having a great time, right? So if you got people here, right, we clap for our teammates. That's what we do, right? We know how hard that is. 25 people in a room. That might be the best licensing class since we started.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
25 new people. I'm thinking like, damn, you make a lot of money. This is how business owners think. How many butts do we have in chairs that are ready to learn, ready to get it on this year, right? So who has 2 guys? Come on now. Who? Dante, you got 2? Donald, you got 2? Who else? Tara, 2? Jen, 2? So 4 people with 2. Awesome. Give these guys a huge hand. Anybody with 2 or more? Whoa! Okay. What you got?
I have Lane's back there, so he has 1, but I have 3.
So 4. So 4 total. Anybody with 4 or more?
Yeah.
All right, so Shondell and Mike with 4 in class. Awesome job. Give it up for these guys. So the key is make sure they get scheduled within 5 days of taking the class. Okay? Statistically, people that get scheduled within 5 days of taking the class have the best chance and the best odds to pass. Okay, the information is fresh. And we lose most people before they even take the test. So if they just take the test, that's a huge hurdle, right? You know, I don't know about you guys, and I know there's a few new people which we see, which I welcome to our office. You know, my name's Shaquille. I'm actually the National Sales Director of the office. I'm one of the RVPs. We have 8 RVPs in this office. And, you know, when I started, I was 23 years old. I'm 37. Thank you. I'm a great age. I worked out. Squat, right? Lots of squats. Life has ups and downs. We call those squats. You call that adversity. Weightlifting, that's what we do. I'm just kidding. But when I started, I was 23 years old, and I already had credit card debt. So I lived at home with my mom and dad. I had no bills. There was always food in the fridge. My parents in charge of rent. I had a hand-me-down car. My dad paid every dollar for college. So I had no student loans. And I graduated. I got a job. I was making $35,000 a year, which isn't a lot of money, but it was money. I was making $1,200 every 2 weeks. And I still had credit card debt. I still had, some of my bills weren't collections. Some of my bills I didn't even pay. I was like, forget it. How do you have credit card debt and you don't have a job? I don't know. I did. So I was a fool. So that actually took a toll on me financially. Not that financial toll, I wasn't like this extremely inspired person. I was kind of beaten down already at 23. I was very close already to being over my goals and dreams. Like, well, you know what, this is the path that everybody takes, and I found this company, and the awesome thing about our company is that you can start with this part-time. So I started part-time, and the company kind of built me up, right, through encouragement. Man, you can do it. I believe in you. Don't worry about it. You know, your past doesn't equal your future. And all these little things are all corny and nerdy, but for some reason I kind of just believed it. And okay. And I hadn't had anybody really talk to me like that since high school sports, because sports, the coaches, the teachers, they, mostly they were pretty encouraging. And so I got that back into my life, and then here I went, right? And so for us to have this many people, for you guys to have 4 or 5 people, understand how it is when you first came in. And when you first come in, people are very scared to take a test. They're very scared to start something new. They don't want to be a failure, right? And then what else, right? We have some new people in here. Hey, what are people going to think about me, right? Anybody hear some things about our company before? Right? Huh? What? Now, some people, hey, is this one of those things, right? Anybody heard that? Right? We can pretend that we don't hear that, but we hear it, right? And we know it's extremely ignorant, okay? But it's still, when people say it, if you don't know, right, you got to understand, right? So, anybody know any real estate agents?
Yes.
Anybody a real estate agent in here? Previous real estate agent? Charmaine, you a real estate agent? Were you just an agent, or were you a broker, or just an agent?
Agent.
Okay. Did you have to pay for your license?
Yeah.
How much?
To start out, I had to pay a rough level of $2,500.
Okay, and Nisha, you're licensed, right? And how much do you have to pay for it? That's Maryland. How much in Virginia?
Maybe $600, $700.
Okay, so $600, $700, $25, and I know there's different costs and stuff like that. Some of the brokers, they might cover some, right? You have to sit through a class. Did you sit through a class?
Yeah.
Did you take an exam?
Yeah.
Right? Charmaine, I'm sure you passed on the first shot. Nisha, you probably did it a couple times. So, whatever. So, then did you make a sale? Did you actually sell a house?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you got a percentage, right?
Yeah.
And did anybody else get a percentage?
Yeah.
Who?
The broker. I have to split with my broker.
Okay, what was your broker's name?
I was with Whitehurst and I'm with Rena.
Okay, so you Whitehurst, and then you had the individual broker that ran the Whitehurst office.
Correct.
And you went out and helped that client, right?
Yeah.
Like you did the paperwork?
Everything.
You drove them around? You answered their questions? You were there at settlement? You did the walkthrough, the appraisal, all that stuff?
Yeah.
And you got paid? How much did you get paid?
At Whitehurst probably was 60%.
Okay, but how much do you remember your first commission? How much was it? Like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000?
Probably close to 2,000.
Okay, 2,000. And Whitehurst made 2,000, right?
Yeah.
Or did you make 40? They made 60.
They made 60.
Okay, so they made 60. You made 40, right? Okay, that's business. I'm not worried about it.
Right.
Right now, maybe you can work up. Maybe you can negotiate a different rate, but that's just what it is. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, is that a pyramid? Hiring somebody, they get licensed. Is real estate a pyramid? No, I'm serious, because that's what. Isn't that so? If I hire Kelvin, Kelvin gets licensed, right? Kelvin this week, he helped 2 families and, get protection. One was more coverage, less money. One didn't have any protection on the wife, right? You did the paperwork, you helped them out. Now, I know I went with you a little bit, I trained you, but, you did it. You made money, I made money. Is that fair? If someone goes to Toyota and buys a Toyota, do you think the salesperson's the only person that gets paid? 8 or 9 people get paid. That's not a thing. That's called capitalism. It's not just in sales, it's not just in brokerages. I was an accountant. I did budgeting. I was a project control analyst, which is basically a bean counter. Okay? And I had to build, I don't know if Winnie, because I know you do accounting, so I had to build projects, right? Like one of the projects I worked on, and I mean, it's so funny how I'm still mentally like brainwashed from my job. And I'm a business owner for freaking 14 years, and I hate jobs, but I always tell people this. I was like, yeah, man, it's really cool because I was working on a project that we developed a Hummer. Right? Like, I didn't develop a Hummer. I didn't see a Hummer. I didn't drive a Hummer. I did the spreadsheets, and it said Hummer. But I still talk about it like that. Right? So, we had to build projects. If I had to build a project, I billed at $42 an hour. That was my billing. So if they had to, because everybody had to do their own accounting, and all the projects had to have the accountant bill probably 8 to 10 hours a week to look through the numbers. And so when I billed them, I said, hey, $42 an hour. What did I get paid? $17 an hour. That's what $35,000 is a year. I know it sounds like a big number. It's a trick. It's $17 an hour. They were every hour I worked, my company made $25 an hour off of me. After a year, I begged for my promotion. They gave me my review. They said I did great. You're loyal. You're a team player. I said, great, awesome, fantastic. I said, how much more money are you going to pay me? They said, no, I'm sorry, we're over budget. This is a title promotion. I said, what's that? They said, no, we can't pay you anymore. It's a no-rates promotion. You cannot get paid. I said, what? I showed up early. I stayed late. I worked evenings. I worked some Saturdays. I wanted 3%. I was making $35,000. I wanted 3%. That's $1,000 a year. That's all I wanted. I didn't want a $5,000 raise. I didn't want a $10,000 raise. I wanted $1,000. I want to go from 35 to 36. $1,000 a year is $80 a month. That's $40 a check. That's all I asked for. So, like, see, when you got to understand, when you're working, why are you working so hard? For how much money? Even if you make $100,000, a 3 to 5% raise, $5,000 a year. If I can teach you how to make $20,000 a year part time, isn't that a better alternative with no boss?
Yes.
You got to make good, smart financial decisions. And I'm yelling at myself because I'm so freaking stupid. I'm sitting there begging for a raise to go from 35 to 36. They didn't give it to me. Okay, fine. But you know what? The billing rates changed. So I'm still getting billed. I'm still billing. The company's still paying me $17.79 an hour. And what was my billing? $42. But in 2004, my billing went up to $50 an hour. So they're charging $50. They couldn't even give me 40 cents of that, because that's all I wanted. I started thinking like, damn, they're straight up tattooing me. Right? They're like putting it in my chest and screwing it. And I was like, man, why do I even want this job? And then I started looking at my boss. I said, I don't want his life. And then I want to start my own business. Right? But see, you got to remember who you're taking advice from and who's talking to you. Right? Now, I'm the kind of guy, everybody goes right, I go left. That's just how I always was. I never followed the crowd. Right? The blind leading the blind, they end up walking off the cliff. Right? And so when people say things, just always remember that. Why do you have to take a test? Are you getting paid for training? No. We already know your way. This system is broke. That's why 95% of people work until they die. Right? We're going on a different path, which is the entrepreneur path, which is capitalism, which is business ownership, which is building a volunteer army. And yes, it's difficult, but you got a shot. And I promise you, I have never been more thrilled when I looked in that room and I saw 25, maybe more, a couple people coming late. Some repeats and they're ready. Some brand new people. I don't know how many. If we do a great job of scheduling people this week, we could have 15 people pass the exam this week. That's how I think. But we got to get these people scheduled. All right. So we have a couple points of recognition. We had one person. You want to bring up your first down real quick? Give Kelvin a round of applause.
Very simple story. Went out. The guy worked at he works out at the gym. I work at. Great guy. Went and saw him and his wife. Saw the opportunity, got excited. Talked to his wife. She recruited her, and she saw the opportunity and went out. Got to do their own personal sales. Recruited him. Just trying to build something big. Knowing that she had a shot of replacing her income and having more quality time with the family, more time with the kids and things like that, and just painting the vision. So my first down today is Miss Brittany. If you can help me give her a round of applause.
We always love our clients, right? We always recruit our clients, right? You can always tell how good a company is if they recruit their clients, right? Hey, Brittany, come work with us. We just screwed you financially. Let's teach you how we did it. Did we ever say that? Will we ever do that? Right? You think people are sitting in a State Farm meeting? I think they're teaching their clients in an AIG meeting, right? Hey, Brittany, what we did for you and your family was so unbelievable. So simple. Let's go show this to other people. Right? This information is extremely valuable. It'll help people. And you'll be great because you're a client. You already believe in what we do. You're a mom. You love your family. You have instant credibility when I go sit down with people. You say, hey, I did it. It's a similar situation close, right? So if you're here for the first time, you're going to go back into orientation. If you have not seen orientation, who's not seen orientation? Who's going back? All right, you can follow Samir back, or Alex will take you back in the conference room. Let's give our visitors a good round of applause. ready?
Yes.
All right. Let's do our top turnout. Let's see. Count how many people are back in orientation as well as class. All right. Below district, is it district? What is it? District and below? District and below. All right, stand up. One, 2, 3, 4. Five. Give it up for Tara. All right, divisions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many? 5. 6 or more? All right, give it up for Calvin. Whoa! All right. So we're going to do a client example. Whole life. Whole life still out there? We haven't done a good job of explaining by term and that's the difference. They're better at telling lies than we are the truth. Okay? And remember, if a client has whole life and someone dies, the company takes the cash value and they're underprotected. Okay? And these are widows, these are children that are getting affected, and if you're not good enough and you don't have the confidence, you're not going to be prepared when you're at the kitchen table, right? And so Dante made 2 sales this week, right? Helped 2 families with whole life, both of them whole life this week. They're just right in the right frame of mind to do this training, talk about what he saw out there, how he closed it, what put him over the top, the attachments that these clients have to whole life, because sometimes, right, it's just like phones, right? People pay more money, they're Team Apple, they're Team Android, they're Team BMW, Team Mercedes, Team Audi, whatever it is, and they're blinded by it. Right? And these whole life policies, they're really nasty stuff. And it's terrible. Right? You see all these commercials on TV, and it's just bad. So Dr. Vu do a great job of breaking down policies, doing a fine example. Give it up for RVP Dante Williams.
Morning. Morning. So I'll start with getting to the kitchen table. Because to get in front of somebody that has whole life, you have to get in front of people. So this person actually met it was actually at a networking with the first person. And whenever you're out meeting people, especially others that are in sales, that are in business, the way that you can get an appointment or get a meeting is by trying to provide value to them first. So you almost have to think about how you can impact others, how you can give to them first. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're giving your service, but if you're out there meeting people, if you're out there connecting, you may not be the end user, but if you can put them in touch with the end user and you're providing value to them, you're thinking about how you can give to them first, then they're going to want to reciprocate that and give you an appointment. And if you can improve their situation, then then obviously you can help them as well. So that's how I met this person. She actually has a salon, right? And I was talking to Shay. So I didn't even actually give her business. All I did was I sent an email and I connected her with Shay, who I know is influential as far as probably being able to potentially refer other people to her, right? So the fact that I just made that email, that connection, it just provided value, to her that, oh, I may want to continue to foster a relationship with this person because he's a giver, right? And when you're a giver first, then people want to give back to you. So you always just want to have that mindset, as well as how can I give to other people? Because we all want to receive, but whenever you're meeting somebody, isn't it true that they always want to try to push their agenda on you first, right? So you don't want to be that person. Even though we're all trying to accomplish our agenda, but if you do the opposite of what most people do, then it sets you apart as being different. So that's what I did with her. So I met her, and I already knew that she probably had a cash value policy because she said she had New York Life, and she said that she had investments with Edward Jones, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean good or bad because it's with Edward Jones, and I found out later that she was actually an American fund, so he did a good job with that. So now I meet her. I meet her at her shop, and you always have to get the information, the policy information. So fortunately, she was able to pull it up online. So she pulled it up and logged into her policy through New York Life, and we're just looking at the details. So she has $121,000 of coverage, and she's 38 years old, and she's paying $200 a month. Wow. So the first question I asked her was, so why did you get this policy? Was it the insurance, the investment, or both? That's a great question. So why is it that you got this policy? Is it for the insurance, or is it for the investment, or is it for both? She said it was for both. So I said, okay, well, let's look at the investment. So you're putting $200 a month into this, and you've had it for 4 years, right? So $200 a month is what? $2,400 a year. And let's say for 4 years, so how much is that? 9,600. So over the 4-year period, you put in 9,600. Do you see what your cash value says here? It says 4,000. So you put in 9,600, but you only have 4,000 as far as being able to access that money. Is that a good investment? No. So would you want to continue down this road if that's the type of investment it is for you? No. Okay. So then let's look at the insurance. If you could get a lot more coverage of insurance for lower premium, could you see how that would be better for you? In fact, why is it that you chose $120,000 of coverage? What was the reasoning for that? I don't know. So you don't know that. So nobody ever showed you how to calculate how much insurance coverage you need? No. Right? Married with a young child, a 2-year-old. Right? Nobody explained how to determine how much coverage you need. So now, keep in mind, I don't know who the agent is at this point. So I don't want to completely bash the agent yet. Why? I don't know who it is, right? So I said, well, a lot of times when people provide this product, it's because they may not necessarily know what they're doing, right? So what happens is when people come on with different companies, the company is teaching them and indoctrinating them into their philosophy. So they may not even know that they're doing the wrong thing, right? Why is that good? Because, like you said, it could be their brother. It could be somebody very close to them. And if you beat down that agent before knowing that, you're beating down their friend, their family member, which what makes you look bad, right? You gonna talk about somebody's mom? Are you gonna get that sale? Right. So you just have to know that in advance. So that's how you can beat down the product, but not necessarily the person. So now we just do a quote. So, all right, well, let's determine how much coverage you need. So, and because it wasn't a full-blown appointment, I was just meeting with the business owner at her shop, I just simplified it. I didn't really do the dime because I wasn't really in front of the husband or anything like that. It was just really hard, looking at what she's currently doing. I said, so, God forbid you died, how much money would you want your family? How much would they need of yours on a monthly basis? $5,000. Okay, so $5,000 a month, that's $60,000 a year. So a good rule of thumb is 10 times, right? So that's very simple. Obviously, we have the dime as well, and that's very effective when you're actually in a kitchen table environment, because now you're talking about the mortgage, now you're talking about their debt, now you're talking about the college education, and you're getting tie downs all along the way when you're using the dime. But in this case, I just needed to quickly get a number, simplify it, and now I have a number because nobody's even showed her that before. So now we have the $600,000. So we do the quote, $600,000 for 30 years was $112, right? So we give you what, 4 or 5 times the coverage for lower premium, right? And then we can invest that difference as well. So that was the first one. And so now, how did you meet this agent? Right? You can follow the breadcrumbs backwards as well. That was a referral, right? So who referred that person to you? Do you think they potentially have the same thing that you have? Right? I got to meet that person. Who was it? Right? So that's how you can follow the breadcrumbs back and get more referrals, and you're very specific, right? If you ask a question like, who do you know what you get? Nobody. Yeah. If you ask a question like, who referred you to this agent? Oh, that was, Josh. Because he does that. Right? But that's how you can ask a very specific question, and you're going to get a very specific answer. Right? Now you can get that one referral. Well, I want to get 10 referrals. Well, you can get 10 referrals. That's never a bad thing. But if you ask the one question, the right question, and you get that one person that has the same product that you just replaced, you're going to get another act by asking that one question that's very specific. See, who do you know? People have to go through their whole mental Rolodex of who they know. And their mind becomes lazy, and it stops after it's flipping through all the names and people that they know. It says, I don't know anybody, until you get very specific. So that's what you can do, to tie into referrals, as far as getting very specific with the referrals as well. Especially if they have a cash value policy or a bad product. How did you meet this person? Who referred you to them? Isn't that how most people get services? It's a referral. So we just need to know who the person that referred that agent to them is. So that was the first one. So that's pretty simple. So then I had another person call me, and they wanted whole life, right? So I didn't say, oh no, you don't want whole life. No, that's terrible. I didn't do that. So I said, all right, well let me run some numbers for you. Let me do some calculations for you. I didn't even tell them I didn't even offer whole life. But if I can show them some numbers as far as what that would be versus what I would recommend, then they can make a good decision, right? So here's what I did. I said, I actually had a illustration of a whole life policy for somebody close to that age. So we'll go to the State Farm one, or that illustration there.
Open the next one. Wait, check, make sure the cord is plugged in all the way.
All right.
Will do.
All right, so this is an illustration. This is what an agent will provide to the client. This isn't an actual policy, but it's still going to show us some numbers that we can look at. So this is a whole life. Person was 52 years old, and they just wanted something minimal, really. So here was their concern when they called me. They said, I want to get a whole life because I want something that, you know, is not going to run out, it's not going to go up, that I'm going to have, right? Isn't that why people want a whole life, right? Because of those things. So I have to keep that in mind whenever I'm, you know, sharing with them my solution. So this is a whole life, 52 years old, 25,000. So what we have here is the annual premium. So if we scroll up, so it's $735, right? Now that's a year. That's annual. It's not a month. Right. Right. No, it is, but I didn't want people to think, wow. So this is payable to what? Age 100. So let's go up some more, and then we're going to see the actual illustration. So let's do the next one. Right. So now you're putting $700, $736 a year into this policy. After 1 year, what's your cash value? Zero. Is that a good investment? No. So now you put what, 14, you know, plus, almost 15. You have $11. Right? So if you go to the bottom, you know, you can even see what, even at 87, you know, after what, however many years, is that 35 years, we have 17,000. So when will they have 25,000? What age? 100, right? So now, just again to hit home our understanding of this, let's say we're in year 25, and we have 25,000 is the death benefit, right? So if the person dies, the family would get what? 25,000. But what do we have? What we have here is cash value of 12,000. So that family's not getting the 12,000; they're getting one or the other, right? So if they pull that out, again, it's going to reduce the death benefit. So 25 years later, we have 25,000. So it's really the policy. If you really think about it, it's not a $25,000 policy because they stole the 12,000, right? So the only thing that the insurance company is on the hook for is the difference between 25,000 and 12. So now they're paying $700 a year for half of that, right? For 12, 13,000, let's call it, right? So they have basically a decreasing amount of insurance that that the insurance company's on the hook for. So the husband, it was about the same. They're about the same age. So let's call it $1,500 a year is what they were going to be paying for this amount of coverage. Now he already had a term that's pretty much going to expire. They don't really need. They just wanted something like a burial policy, basically, right? So just to have that money on hand. So that's why these are such small amounts, because his term that he had before is pretty much wrapping up, and they don't really need after that. But they just wanted to have this. So now let's do the quote for us. So again, that's what, double the premium for 50,000 total. So 25,000 on the husband, 25,000 on the wife. So now let's do our quote. So this is for 25,000. So who's newly licensed within the last 3-4 months? Right. So why is it turned down?
Not healthy enough.
Could be.
That could be.
But could I have done custom advantage if they weren't? Could I have? No.
Let's see, well, they got the 8 at 53. Well, they have 25.
Okay, so it's 25 years, right? But can I do custom advantage? Let's say they're super healthy. Can I do custom advantage? Can I do custom advantage? I can? Really? Can I do custom advantage?
Probably, but the likelihood of them being approved would be really low.
It's not the amount, right? It's more than that, significantly more than that.
Is it what, 150?
Yeah, and it changes per age. As you get a little bit older, they reduce it a little bit as far as how much you need. But yeah, I think 150 for the most part is the minimum. As you start getting older, that number's lower, but yeah. So to do custom advantage, you have to have a certain face amount. 150 is a good rule of thumb for most people, but yeah, you can't do custom advantage.
I can't put it on the app, or on the phone. That's good.
It will show you that. It will show you that.
Let's give you that.
It is good. And why is it good to know that? Because what did Shaq just go over? He said you can be an agent or you can be a what? Broker. So if you're a broker, don't you need to what? Train agents? Yeah. So to train agents, don't you have to be very well versed in our own product? Yes, you have to be very well versed so you can teach other people. So for both of them, it's basically half, right? Because our annual premium is $668, and it's covering both of them. So the whole life for the wife was over $736, right?
Yeah.
But what was the concern of the client? After the 25 years, right? They wanted to make sure that they had some coverage. So I said, if you want whole life, here's the cash outlay. It's $1,400, $1,500, whatever it is. So we're going to still have that same $1,500 going out, but let me show you a different option for you, right? So if you got term insurance, which obviously you're familiar with, but your concern is what happens after the term, right? So what if we had the term insurance for not 10 years like maybe what you have now, but what if we had it for 25 years? So we lock it in for 25 years, but again, this premium is a lot less than what the whole life would be. So what if we took that money, that difference, what? You know our philosophy, buy term and invest in difference. So what if we took that difference and we invested it, right? Now, you also have to keep in mind, when people say, I want something guaranteed, I want a whole life, they may be risk adverse, right? So they may be concerned, one of their concerns may be, well, how are you going to get this type of return? How are you going to get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% return? Well, so then what I showed was the calculator. Because all I need, remember, is 50,000. Because their coverage is what, 25 and 25. So if I can show how to get 50,000, what kind of interest rate I would need for that, that can help minimize and allay their fears, right? So if I go to the, no, this one. Is that it?
Oh, sorry.
Right. So this is the app. This is the Primerica app. This is the financial calculator. So what I said was, I need 50,000. I need over 50,000, right? In 25 years, I need that, because after 25 years, that's the length of our term. So I have to show what kind of return I need to get at least 50,000, because now the term is over if they choose not to convert it, or we know our options at the end of the term. So they would only need a return of 5.75% to be able to have enough money to where they could let the term expire at that point if they wanted to, but their needs are still met because they wanted 25,000 for their whole life. They wanted that available. They wanted that accessible. See, the family doesn't care where the money comes from. If it's 25,000 from an insurance company, doesn't that spend the same way as 25,000 from an investment company? It spends the same way. So if I could show them how they can have 25,000 or 50,000 in this case, because it's for the husband and the wife, now I've met their needs. They have 25,000 each for their whole life, but we did it the right way. We have term insurance for that 25 years, and we're investing outside of that to where they can still have that. So now that's just showing that you don't need a massive amount of return to get to 25,000 each. That's 5.75. That's not astronomical. That's not 12%. That's less than 6. You think that's doable? I think we can get at least a 6% return? Well, I don't know. Okay. So let's do this. Anybody ever use a rolling period for the people that are, securities licensed? So a rolling period is going to show 25 years of an investment for the longevity of the fund, right? So what I use, and you'll see how it works if it sounds a little confusing for people looking at the expression. So I used ICA, Income Fund of America. The reason why I use that is because it has a long track record, right? 80+ years of a track record. So I have a lot of 25-year rolling periods to look at. So what that means is if the fund started in mid-30s, right? 25 years, what was putting that $77 or whatever it is a month for 25 years, what would it be? 35 to the next year, 36 to the next year. So that's a rolling 25-year period, right? So what I did was I said, look, let's look at the 25-year period, the whole history of the fund, and see what the most it was. Let's see what the minimum amount it was, and let's look at the average to see if that could still allow for you to have that 25,000 or 50,000 total, right? Is that making sense?
Yes.
So scroll up and let's look at some of the 25-year periods. So this is from 1934 to 1959, right? Is that right? 25 years. So in that period of time, they put in 23,100, and the amount of money was 167,000. Is that better than the 50?
Yes.
Here's the next 25-year period, 35 to 60. So in all of these rolling periods, the 23,000 is the same, right? All it's doing is looking. See, in the securities in the investment world, you can't guarantee what the future will be, but you can look at the past, and you can look at the probability of the same thing happening in the next 25 years. See, if the probability is in the whole history of the fund, through all the, see, this is 34, so what happened in the 40s? What was going on in the world? War, right? So through the wars, through the recession, Great Recessions, through the terrorist attacks, through the 1970s and 1980s, all the things that were happening, these are the results. So what I highlighted, or kind of just made sure you understood, was this was the median. What's median mean? Middle, right? Some were better, some were worse. This is right in the middle of the road. So right in the middle of the road, 23,100, we would have 142,000, right? And the average return was 12, the return for that was over 12% a year. So if that was the average, did we beat the 5.75 that we need? Did we have more than the 50,000? Is your family from 75 to 2,000? So the same 23,100, 267. Right? The average return was 16. Let's look at the worst. The worst was from 87 to 2012. We still have 65,000. Right? Is that still better than the 50?
Yes, sir.
That's the worst. The median was what? 142? So the absolute worst case scenario that I can paint for you is we're going to still be able to meet your needs, even better than what that whole life is doing for you. So why don't we see if we can get you qualified, right? And you do the process closed, right? So what questions do you, so go ahead, do you have a question? Right. So when you're doing a hypothetical on American funds, one of the boxes is you want to do rolling periods, right? So that's all this is a rolling period. Right. What else?
If you got them issued on those two new policies, or maybe you already did, and so they're all issued, everything's done, what would you do with the old policy?
Well, this one actually didn't have,
The state farm
yeah, they didn't have it.
Oh, okay.
So this
They were
was,
just looking at-
that was actually just an illustration.
To show them what it would be. Okay.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
But if they had the state farm, then at that point, now when you do the application, if they have
Gotta do
coverage, you want to do a replacement.
Right.
What? Okay, let me ask you this. The newly licensed people again, raise your hands again. Right, who else? Hi, could you go? There's only two people. I knew there was more than that before. I already called them. Right, who else? That's it? So replacement, what does that mean? What's it mean? Right. So why is it a good idea for us to have, we're legally supposed to do that, but why is it a good idea for us to make sure that we do the replacement form? What do you think? Well, in the application, it says, are you replacing a policy? We say yes. We put in their information, okay, they have a State Farm, they have a Northwest Mutual, we're putting in their policy information. Basically the company, the policy number, the face amount, right? So why is that a good idea?
For legal reasons?
That's, we have to do it for legal reasons, but why else is it good for the client to make sure that we do that? Any idea?
So you know what the money is doing? So they know what investments now, what investments monies are going, so that they know what their money.
No, they already know it, because it's their policy, right? Why?
In case they don't get it done or something like that, you don't want them to be paying two policies and it could just come back on you and you're like.
Okay, that's a good point, but I'm asking a different question. But what she's saying is we're not going to cancel the policy yet. until we make sure that we get it issued, right? Is that kind of what you're saying? Right. And that's because we don't ever want them, there to be a point where they cancel their policy, and maybe something's happened medically that would prevent them from getting approved with us. So now they've canceled our policy, our company's denied them coverage, now they have no coverage. Let's say the policy lapsed, what if they say, you know what, we gotta prove insurability again. We already know they can't get insurance. So if they have to reprove it with the company that they just left, then now they can have no insurance. And that's not a good look for you, right? Why is it a good idea to make sure that we do the replacement?
Actually, sometimes they'll go back and tell their agent, and the agent will say, oh, you want to send back to service term, and keep them myself.
Okay, so good point. So you want to make sure that you prepare the client for the enemy agent, right? So you have to prepare the client for the enemy agent, because when we do the replacement, they are going to get a phone call, right? They are going to get that phone call, so we do have to prepare them. So one of the things, when you get that phone call that the agent is going to say, oh, you want a term? I can sell you term. But if they could have sold you term and they didn't, why didn't they? Right? So, go ahead.
Well, I was going to answer your question.
Yeah, I want the answer.
So the first 2 years of all policies, there's a contestability period.
Right.
So if you are replacing a policy that the client has already held for years, the company will pay out that portion in advance to them.
Right.
And obviously continue the contestability period if they need to do that, or they'll just pay up to whatever. So that's
Right.
part of the reason why you want to.
So that's what I was looking for, right? So just to make sure that you guys understand, every insurance application has a 2-year contestability period. What that means is, we take an application today, and the company is taking all the information, all of the documents, all of the medicals, and they're saying, you know what, based off of the information that we have here, we're going to approve the coverage. But what if there was something that they left out that we didn't know about as an insurance company, and if we had this information, we wouldn't have approved them? See, for the first 2 years, they can say, you know what, you knew about this, and because you knew about it and you didn't disclose it, we wouldn't have insured you, right? Therefore, we're not going to pay the claim. So insurance companies have a 2-year contestability period where they can make sure that this is a person that they would have insured. But if you do a replacement, and they've had that insurance for over 2 years, Primerica is going to honor that 2-year contestability period. So you've had this coverage of $150,000, or let's use the one I just did, right? The 120, you've had it for 4 years. So for that 120, that's not contestable. So if there's a death tomorrow, we're going to pay out 120 immediately. It's uncontestable because you had the replacement on the application. If you didn't have the replacement on the application, the company doesn't know about it. So they're not going to, they're going to contest the whole amount, right? So that's why now legally we're obligated to do it, but to do the right thing for the client, it's good to do that, right? So what else? Anything else? Questions, comments? Whole life? Here's a good, here's what I used to always, recommend, a good way to simplify whole life. Live, die, pay. Live, die, pay. So, go back to the State Farm real quick. So let's say in the 25th year, again. So if you live, how much would your family have access to? $12,000. So when you're comparing the whole life with the buy term and invest the difference, how much would you have if you live? So in this case, they would have $12,000 if they went the whole life route. How much would they have if they bought term and invest the difference? Well, obviously it's going to be more than the $12,000. Let's say it was 20, right? So if you live with your family, would you rather have access to 12,000 or would you rather have access to 20,000? 20,000. Okay. So now, die. So the same 25th year period, how much would your family get if you die? How much would they get? 25,000. In our scenario, how much would they get? In that same scenario, what? They had the 25,000 of coverage plus what? The 20. So how much would your family get if you die? 45,000. Is that better than 20? Right. So can you see that this is better if you live? Can you see it's better if you die? And you're paying the same amount, right? Because it's this. Because we didn't just sell them term. We sold them term and we invested the difference. So the cash outlay is exactly the same. So that's a good, simple way to compare whole life, or really any cash value, with buy term and invest the difference. Live, die, pay. All right. So that's all I have. Is Shaq over there? All right. So you just got to be a professional. You got to take this information. You got to get really good at it, and just get really good at just being able to communicate what could be complex conversations into very simple conversations, and then you can obviously do the same thing. And I know you guys, a lot of guys have already done that, and we're gonna eradicate this. All right, thanks, guys. The first thing that we'll look at is the financial calculator, right? So if we go to the financial calculator, on your app, so the first thing that I wanted to do was find out how much interest rate I needed to show them, right? So I needed 50,000, right? So you can change up here what you want to calculate. So I wanted to calculate what kind of return I needed. So then I knew it was 25 years, and it was 50,000 that I needed, right? So I needed 50,000. That's, okay, this is beginning balance, so this would be 0, right? And then for 25 years, and then I think it was $77 a month.
Yeah.
So now what it's going to calculate is the rate of return. So I needed 5.5% return. So that's why I just put, you know, whatever. I think I put 5.75, it's like 51,000. So that's how I was able to determine. And so what was I doing? I was trying to overcome the objection before it became an objection. How am I going to get the type of return that's going to replace, or that's going to allow for me, well, is that a high return? No. We have bonds. We have municipal bonds. That, you know, we have, you know, corporate bonds that do. That's not even risky. It's not even in stock. So that's not a very high return to need to be able to get that to get that 50,000. So that's one. And then you can also say, you know what if we did average a 9% return? So if you're not securities licensed, you can use this tool because you have access to this. So you can say, you know what? I want to calculate my ending balance. Let's say I'm averaging a 9% return. So now, if you average just a 9% return over that period of time, you have 86,000. So what you've done is, again, it's the same cash outlay, but now, at the end of the 25 years, you have 86,000. Right? So that's on the calculator. Now, can you do the American funds too? So I'll show you how I did the rolling period. So over here, you're going to click on hypothetical. Right. So when you're doing this, we're going to do one investment, and we're going to do a systematic plan, investment plan. So this is it right here, Shondell. You've seen this, but you probably just didn't know what it meant. Show rolling periods in the illustration. So we're going to click on yes. So start it. So I did again what? ICA because that had the longest term, duration. You put 77. That's what we're doing on. Right? So now we'll do since inception, right? And then we're gonna, how long do you want the rolling period to be? 25 years, right? Because that's how long the term was in this case. You can also use this for retirement too, just retirement planning, right? Because people have concerns about, okay, what's the probability of me being able to achieve this goal? You can do the same thing. It'll show you the best case scenario, it'll show you the worst case scenario, and it'll show you the median. So we're putting $77 a month in there, and that's fine. And then go ahead and preview. Right, so here we go. So these little indicators here are, it's it's a key that's going to tell you what the best case, the worst case, and the median is. So all I did was I just kind of highlighted that for him. Right? That's why it looked a little bit different than this is going to show here. Because I wanted to really make sure that he understood that, you know what, this is the best, this is the worst, this is the median. That's why I put those huge lines in there and I wrote it in there, median, best, and worst. So these are the exact same numbers that we saw, right? This was the median, 142. And then this was the worst case, 65. And then here was the best case, 267. Right? So any questions about how to calculate any of that stuff or how to find it? Who's got their U4 out? You guys? You're still waiting? Who's going to be the first one to pass their securities license in there? Who? Nobody wants to get their license.
You can pass. Yeah, you can pass that time.
That's how you did it.
No, it's just carry over from the license exam.
So you know what's funny though, and I just try to piggyback on what these other guys say. But every single time we ask that question, it's the same people, isn't it? Like, how long has your hand been raised? Oh, tell you what, and I can do that. I've always, there's certain people that I'm going to make sure that I always, slam because I can. Tim, right? What about you? Have you started yet?
What did he say?
Is this going to be your second go at it? Did you ever get it before? No. You never did? You guys know there's big money in securities, right?
Yeah.
How much money did you make your first year in securities?
It was 60% of my income.
Right.
It was 23 grand my first income.
Right. So whatever you've made, let's say you made $10,000 in a year, right? Basically double it. And that's, I'm talking about the very part-time, the most part-time person. Let's say you made $10,000 in a year. Would you want to double that on the same amount of work? Would you want to triple it? That's $2,000-3,000. It's like nothing when you have the securities license. You know what we used to always say, especially in this area? Without having a securities license, think about it. This is the wealthiest place in the country. Contractors are changing every 5 to 7 years. There's money to be rolled over, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You've got to have that securities license, right? That's all we used to talk about. That's why he was #1 in securities license. I really don't know what happened. Like why we, I got my so I got my life in December. I got my 6 in March. I got my 63 in April. I got my 26, all within my first year. In my first 12 months, I had every license, insurance, security, and the broker, license. So I don't understand how somebody can even pass the 6, 2-3 years, right? You don't want it. That's got to be it, right? It's not a difficult exam. You just got to put in the time. So, Shaq Islam.
I just went in on y'all. Shit. We didn't know light-skinned brothers get down like that. Damn.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Something like that. You don't want it. Right, Donna?
Good.
No chocolates.
you good?
Let's talk a little bit before, I just peeked my head into class. Class is going great. So, meetings, okay? As we, kind of game plan for communications, thought process, meetings. I love meetings. Okay? I love Primerica meetings. I love coming. I love seeing everybody. I love meeting new people. I love recognition. I love competition. I love seeing people get promoted. All of it I enjoy. Okay? But we don't need, and you can have, but we don't need more meetings. Okay? We need productive meetings. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? We need productive meetings. Now, I think that you, as a leader, you as if you have a teammate or teammates, you should meet with people and you should schedule things to do one-on-one. There's lots of things that you can do, okay? And you want to keep it business. Okay? If you start spending a lot of time with a new recruit, it can turn very quickly, right? What am I talking about? No, I'm being serious. This is an opportunity to coach.
Just that it becomes just, too personal, the recruitment stuff, that's right.
Right. It's not that it's harder to, look, I'm an extremely introverted person. Okay? If you meet me in a normal setting, not Primerica, not me as an RVP, not me talking from the front of the room, I'm a pretty quiet person. I'm pretty to myself. I'm not like the super gregarious person, and I'm not the social butterfly. That's just not me. Okay. So, and growing up, I did have a lot of friends, but I only had like 5 or 6 really, really close friends that I really knew very well. Okay. So now, Alex, when I saw the business, I hated my job so much, and I knew that this business worked. I knew it. After my first appointment, and we developed our first client, which was my older sister, who's very smart, very intelligent. She didn't have any private insurance. She had credit card debt she had to pay off, and she had the wrong mortgage. And she was so impressed by the presentation. She was just like, wow, this is really helpful. And I said, man, my sister's not a critic, but if she's behind this, not behind me, she'd always support me, but behind this, the F&A, the products, Primerica, and just the whole overall experience, I'm going to do this business. But me wanting to do it and then actually, getting good at it is 2 different things. And so I take people on appointments and I could sell the opportunity because I've always kind of been good at that. I could always sell stuff, and I was the type of guy. I've been hustling since I was 10, 11 years old. There was a time we were the only family that had HBO. So I would take the movies, I'd sell them at school. I'd sell them $10, $15. I mean, I had money as a kid. I'd have $100, $200 a month from that. And, I've just always been like that. Most of the stuff was legal, I did. Some things. You didn't put in on this, man. But, oh, that's right, you're my age. You look like you're 20, but you're right. So, anyway. So I've always been kind of just extremely money motivated, money conscious, and but people. Right? I wasn't great with people. So I'd go on appointments, and I'd take Luis on an appointment, and when I first started, I'd take somebody like Luis, and we'd literally be on and if anybody's trained with me, Ratna, if Ratna drove, what happened? I'm asleep. I'm like, look, man, I'm tired. I'm going to have to take a nap. Is that true? I mean, we go to Woodbridge. I just put the seat right back, and Brian's talking. I'm like, Out. Right? Out. And then hey, wait, hey, man, what's up? Okay. All right. Good. What are the names? I just set it up. All right, and we go and we do business. Because I knew the presentation, I was great at it. Right? But I mean, so the only way I'd stay awake is if I had to drive. Okay, if I didn't drive, I was out 100% of the time. It's 100% sleep. So if I drove, then after like 30 minutes of just awkward silence, right, we'd actually have to start talking. And so I'd say, hey, Donald, how'd you get into business? How'd you get into and then you start. And he said, well, you know, my job and this and that, and when they said this, I said, well, what really got you over the hump to start? And then you start learning about people, and you get really excited. I would get so excited in the car because I'm like, damn, okay. And he'd say something, and he'd be like, well, you know, well, this and that. And you know, I remember Ricky telling me about, like, one time we were on an appointment, he was telling me how he got benched in college, and how he for some reason, he felt this was another opportunity. And it would just get my juices flowing, and I'd start, man. And so I started talking to people more. And you know, see, sometimes you see things and you don't really understand. Like, I had a whole team in my first year, but they all quit. Right? I mean, and then when I say a team, I don't know if you weren't around, right, when I recruited this kid named Richard Rademacher. He was fully licensed. Yeah. It was before Samir and Dante, my first year. And he was double-digit recruiter, amazing. But the problem was, and I got to my first trip because of him. He was really good, and he kind of propelled me to my first trip. The problem was, Sophia, that I was too friendly. Not nice, but it just, you know, with him and his team, you know, we start talking, and then it takes a wrong turn. You start talking about, like, I'll just give you an example, okay? Now, spectrum, okay? I'm not saying you got to be, you know, treating it, you don't, hey, APJ, U4, you know, you don't call them by their solution. You know what I'm saying? Right, Matt? That's the only note he took. Right? And I can do a better job of being more friendly with people. Okay? I mean that, but I understand though. Like, you know, Kelvin, me and Kelvin are very close. I'm his buddy. We're close, but he doesn't need a friend. He needs someone to coach him to help take care of his wife and 3 kids, because that's why he's in this business. And sometimes if I cross the line, right, I'm not going to be able to coach him the way I want to. I'm not going to be able to say the things I need to say to him when he crosses the line. When I say, hey, look, man, that's unacceptable. You got to do this. So you got to keep the business. You got to keep the business with this, okay, with people. And then a lot of people, they misinterpret that, right? Now, we got to be great with our delivery, and we got to be nice if people don't like being criticized and all that stuff, okay? What was the point? Why am I saying?
Productive meetings.
You got to do more productive meetings.
You should meet with people one-on-one. You should have more time with people. But we don't need more meetings. No, you can have them if you want. We need productive meetings. And part of that, obviously, and you know, it's something we cannot be reminded enough about Saturdays. I was telling Shay last week, or maybe Sophia, I don't remember who it was, maybe both of them. I said, you know, I love the event. I thought Warren did a great job. I thought the event was great. The environment was great. But the one thing about the events is that we don't set appointments. I hate that. I hate us not doing the work. You know, big games are on Sunday, right? It's a championship weekend to go to the Super Bowl. They know Tuesday's walkthrough, Wednesday's this, Thursday's this, Thursday and Friday are the most important days because that's when they implement the new plays for the week. They know everything is to a science in the NFL. Billion-dollar teams, a multi-billion-dollar organization, they got it to a science every week. No, we go practice, we go in pads, full pads, no contact, new plays, walk through, strategies. They know it. See, you can't get bored with the routine. You cannot get bored with it. This is not about, you know, having new, exciting stuff. It's about doing the same things enthusiastically and excited to always do it. Always. Is that your friend? Glad it wasn't her. So, when we break the set appointments, okay, your goal every week, set at least one. Everybody in here should set one. If you get on that phone, you blitz, okay? You blitz like crazy. That's one thing that we can do productively, right? And one thing I ask, what's our uniform? Do you have a uniform? What is it? Write it down. Anybody ever work at any sort of job? Like a restaurant, do they make you get a uniform?
Yep.
Right? Black pants, white shirt, black shoes, right? Anything, right? Business casual, they might say no jeans, etc. Now we're a little liberal in what we, because one, culturally we're sitting down with different types of clients, right? Spanish clients, Dominican clients, right? Jamaican clients, right? Vietnamese clients, white clients, African American clients, young clients, old clients. So you gotta be, I understand. Okay? Part of your people skills, okay, the number one thing in your uniform is what? Always remember, your book is your number one thing. This is the thing you always need to carry with you. Is the book that you're reading. And that's the number one thing, is your book. Okay? Always have a book with you. Always. Okay? But, so, I don't judge, like one thing for me, I understand where I am in the totem pole of age. Okay? In, just a couple of weeks, I'll be 38, right? I started at 23, I'm 38 now. I have a 7-year-old, I have a 5-year-old, I have a 1-year-old, I've been married 10 years. I get it. I'm not, Luis, if he comes in, I remember when I started at 23, my RVP was 39, right? And I was like, this guy he is just completely off the deep end. He knows nothing about young people. And I might be true, or maybe that was just in my head. The kind of, always kind of fighting authority type person. So I'm not going to come down on people on how they dress. I used to be like that. You had to have your hair a certain way, no earrings, cover up any tattoos you had. Now I'm not as because I understand it's just a little bit different. But let me educate you on a few things, okay? Because we are making a conscious decision to recruit younger people. Okay, how old are you? Maurice,
21.
How old are you? So I understand, right? Training is different. But if you have to also understand who you're sitting down with, right? If Josh came in sitting down with my dad's not going to give you any money. None. I'm being serious. I'm just being real. Okay? I hate saying that. My dad would lock his door. He saw you. Right? So you got to understand, right? I understand. You can be a certain way in training, and it's Saturday training. It's fun. It's Saturday morning. But when you're out there in the field, right? You got to just understand a few different things, man. Right? Dress, appearance, look, my wife is extreme. Samir, how liberal is my wife?
Very.
She's super freaking liberal. Georgetown college educated, I mean, super liberal. But if you came in trying to train and sit down with me and her, and you looked a certain way, you weren't a little conservative covered up wise, my wife would never let do business with you. And she's liberal. Very. See, this is training, this is videos, this is recognition, this isn't out in the field. When you're sitting down with people, I would err on the side of probably being a little conservative. I just would err on that side. And younger people, you know, I don't want to do injustice to you. You know, look a little older, right? I mean, you know, it's cool. You know, I mean, yeah. You're young, you're motivated. I was young and motivated, but you know, some people would discount me, for, you know, because they didn't want to be my first client, right? Look, come get 10 and I'll be your client. I like you. I know you're great. You're trying, but I'm not going to be the first one. You know, right? So just, you know, look, when I say that, I don't care when you come in. I understand you're a rock, you're not a finished product. We'll beat you up, we'll slap you around, we'll train you, but you have to listen because, see, part of this is like, you know, you see me, okay, like I wear t-shirts and tennis shoes and jeans all the time and all that stuff. You know, that's just how I dress. Comfort is very important for me right now. Okay? But Kelvin, we went out on the field. What was I wearing yesterday? It's Friday night, right? You got and the problem is I don't mind. It's not appointments at night. It's the problem I make is I go home before the appointments, right? So when you go home before the appointments, the kids are there, right? So I'm like, I gotta dress up, do it right. What was I wearing? What do I wear when we go out? When we saw what was the client's name? Jeremiah's wife's name? Brittany and Jeremiah, right? What am I wearing? I put my blazer on. These clients are younger than me, and they know, they can tell right away when I walk in, regardless of what I have, they know I know what I'm talking about. Within 30 seconds, they just know. Like, we start talking, they're at attention. You know, they know. The way Kelvin introduces me, right when I start talking about and I don't throw my weight around, they just know. They can hear it. You know, they know somebody that has hundreds of clients and presented thousands of times, but I still dress up. I still dress up. And I don't need to dress up. And many times, sometimes I run the risk of, if I dress up, it's going to make them feel intimidated because they're in gym shorts and, you know, a t-shirt, and they feel like that, like, whoa, we don't have enough money or something like that. But I still do it. Right? So, you know, our uniform is important, especially out there in the field. Iron shirt, clean stuff. I mean, you know, nails, breath smelling good. You know, look, how long are you going to be down, man? I don't understand it, right? How many people have to go by us just did it? And you know, what does Deion Sanders say, right? You look good, you what? You feel good. You feel good, you play good. You play good. You got to remember the most important one. You play good, they pay good. You look good, you feel good. You feel good, you play good. You play good, they pay good. So, you know, part of it, you know, I mean, you know, you just get, you know, and you don't have to buy nice stuff, man. When I was the cheapest person in the world, where would I get all my clothes? Marshall. And I was like, let me take you somewhere. I was like, I'm not going to Hex, man. That's how cheap I was. I'm not going to Macy's. They're like, I know. Let me kind of ease you into this. And he said, look, okay, this is Marshall's. I was like, all right, it's $9. Literally. And some of you guys, you just are working so hard, and you go out there in the field, and you're just getting tattooed. And part of it is just, you're not being smart. You're just not being smart. Now, notice I didn't say you know, you have to look a certain way, meaning your appearance, your language. You don't have to, you know, if you want to fix that, you can fix it. If you want to improve your vocabulary, that's fine. If you have accent, you want to fix it, I don't care. I don't think people care about that. But you got to have a uniform. You got to be dressed. I mean it. Like, you know, when I come in, you know, I know there's like this society, and you know, it's young and this. I mean, I wear freaking $800 tennis shoes. Okay, I'm not trying to like. Literally, I'm not trying to say like, you know, but that's not the uniform, right? You know, some of these people, you follow them, you look at them, and you're going to follow them right into the grave, man. Right into the Primerica grave. Because this is a business where you have to go to the kitchen table and sit down with the client, and they got a little kid, and they're saying, hey, should I write you a check at $200 a month? Should I roll over my $20,000? And get a uniform. And if you don't know, some of the girls in here too, it's not just the guys. Yeah, the guys, no. I'm a guy, so I'm talking to guys. Women too, right? I mean, come on, I'm telling you, if you came in, my wife would be like, I'm not going to give you a check. You look like you're going out dancing right now. Talk to some of these people. Talk to Sophia. Just say, hey, what's this? I don't want to look like Sophia. She's too conservative. Okay, that's fine. She makes money. I don't know. You may not have to be. Maybe she's a 10. You're a 1. You may want to go to 6. This is about money. Right? When I go to the kitchen table, I know I can make $1,000. It's not about comfort. Now, this is about comfort. When I go out, if I'm going to go out in the freaking field, I'm going to go make money. If I leave my kids at night, I'm going to get paid. So it's really, really, really important what I'm saying. Okay? Now, can you bend a little bit? Absolutely. You can bend, but, like I said, I'd err on the side of being conservative, right? Different cultures are different, right? Ish, right? Look at Ish. And I wish I had your hair, I promise you, buddy. I swear to God I did. On my life I did. Okay? And that might work in the Spanish culture, right? It might. It ain't going to work with my pops. It ain't going to work with the baby boomers. I'm being honest. They're the ones that have the 400,000, 500,000, 600,000. It ain't going to work. It's not. But it might work in, a younger market, 30 months. And I'm not, have I ever said anything? Did I say, hey, Coach, no, I like it. I love your hair, man. I really do. Love a guy with great hair. Full head of hair, super thick, long, black. It's great. Everything I ever dreamed I would have one day. I lost it at about 21. And even my money can't compensate for that. Trust me, I tried. But, and Shay, where are you from? California is different than here too. This is Virginia. This ain't California. Have you been to California? Have you been to LA? Have you been to Southern California? Have you been to the Bay Area? You think that's like here? California literally, if they could, would secede from the United States. They don't want to be part of this country. I'm being for real. You think I'm just Shay, am I even exaggerating? So they're in a whole different time zone, area, weather. Even Florida was different. Even DC, I go to DC, I'm like, where am I? Where am I? Right? So you got to understand where you are, right? I mean, this is Virginia. It's Virginia. You can say it's cold. It is a little bit southern, but it's also got the northeast weather. It's just different, man. I know we trying to, it's one thing if you're trying to be fashionable. This is financial services, man. That's just what it is. I hate saying it. It just is. It's financial services, investments, it's securities, it's IRAs, it's 529s, it's life insurance, right? This is training. This is entertainment. You go out in the field, you're going to go out with somebody, and you're going to go into somebody's house, and they judge right away. Right, immediately. That's all they do is judge. And the whole time I'm trying to overcome it. So you're young, right? How old? 21, right? You better not dress like you're 21. You better not act like you're 21. Or you're going to get paid like you're 21 in financial services. That's what's going to happen. You can fight me all you want. Look at the bankroll. Right? It's the 18th of the month. I'm at 22 grand of income. 12 grand, 12 by 12. We got 12 more days to go triple triple the production. Our production isn't even there. And I had a I know you feel bad for me. I had a $10,000 bonus. Usually it's 20 grand. 22 grand of income in the 20th day of the month, which is the 12th day of the 12th day of the pay cycle. There's been 12 days of pay. That's it. right? I mean, think. All right, pull up, did you get my text back? No, I didn't send it. Pull up the appointment setting, please. You know, I'm excited, Calvin, because in my little kind of the new groups that I'm working with, the new people that I'm investing time in, we have a lot of new trainers out there. Okay. New trainers that are going out, setting appointments, right? Like Alex, you went out, you quoted some people, I hear about you all the time, very excited. You're going out there. Your job, Donald, right? Go out, go as much as you can, right? Because, you know, I'm reading this book, The Power of Habit, and it starts with this. You can't, okay, bad habits are what's keeping us down. Okay? You are your habits, always remember that. And I do believe that, right? John Maxwell, you hear this, you are what you repeatedly do. Okay? Now, it's very hard to break bad habits. It's a lot easier to replace bad habits. Instead of the candy bars, maybe you go for carrots and hummus or something. Okay? See what just look at me like I'm not a goat. Hummus and carrots, get out of here. Hey, listen. I'm not going to get off on topic. Health is real.
Yeah.
Okay? Right? I just took my dad to the hospital on Thursday. Right? I mean, you know, blood pumping, brain strokes, cholesterol blockages, like the guy said, you know. It's real, man. You got to take care of yourself, right? What you eat, how you behave, sleep, rest, stress, all of it. All of it. Very important. Okay? Very important. So that's all I'll say, okay? You know, you gotta, you know, especially some of the stuff you're fighting genetics. Yeah. Some is hereditary and you want to be stupid. Your body can't, you know what I'm saying? It's dumb. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, so like I said, I don't want to go on topic on that, but and it will cost you a lot of money too. Okay, if you don't care about your health, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Right? Your insurance premiums will be higher, your medical bills will be higher. You have to just take care of your body somewhat. Okay, you have to be crazy, no, but you have to be conscious of it in a way. It's very important. All right. So anyway, what was I saying before? Habits, right? So you got to. It's very hard to break habits, but you can replace them with good habits. Okay. And we have so many habits, Amanda, we don't even know, right? Like sometimes, you know, like you're just on your phone all the time. You're checking the same websites all the time. You're playing the same stupid games all the time. You're checking your email like 100 times a day. Right? And I'm not saying, right, you've become obsessed about it, right? And that's not getting you paid. What's getting you paid is prospecting, setting appointments, going out, doing business. That's what's going to get you paid. You living on your phone, you living on YouTube and Facebook is not going to get you paid. You getting great at setting appointments is going to get you paid. And the more you do it, it creates this awesome positive cycle because you'll become more confident and you'll want to go more, right? Because if you have success in anything, you'll naturally feel a little more confident. And if you work hard, you feel a little more deserving of the success. If you avoid it, and I don't know about you guys, but when I'm just like everybody else. That's why I'm good in this business. I'm like everybody else. When I don't do what I need to do, I start feeling not bad, terrible about myself. I wake up, and I completely waste the morning, and it's 1:30 in the afternoon, and I'm just like, God, what a loser. And I start feeling terrible. But if I come on and I get a jump, and I'm disciplined, and I'm determined, I start feeling like I can conquer anything. Anything. Like, all right, and I even get a false sense of confidence, which is what you need. And so when we go over, I'm going to go over this like we always do on appointment setting, because this week we're back, right? We missed a week last week with PFN, and we had a very slow production week. Okay, and I noticed that because we didn't set appointments, and I'm going to go through this really quickly on how to set appointments. And you need to become a 10 out of a 10, 100 out of 100. You need to know these words like, anybody, everybody in this business that's great at this business is unbelievable at getting face-to-face with people. The best appointment setter I've ever met in my Primerica career is Shelley Noreen. On Sunday nights, she would set 100 appointments. 100 appointments. 100 appointments. Is it up? What do I do?
Yeah, just open it.
Okay, somebody texted me to say they want me to say what the actual uniform is. Sophia, why don't you tell me what your uniform is? What you got on the field?
So because Asian don't raisin, so I look young too, to some people. And so I've always had to dress up. So generally, I err more towards like business, to be honest. I mean, a lot of the clients, like, we have a uniform, like they have money. I want to be seen as a professional. So usually I wear, either like a full suit. If they're more of like the professional types, if they've potentially worked with someone who's already like another financial advisor, because guess what they wear? Suits, depending on who it is, if it's a little bit, maybe a little bit more lower income or something like that, I'd wear like business casual, but it still would be a blazer. It still would be some sort of like skirt suiting. I've been wearing a sheath dress and, kind of hot jacket a little bit just to, but it's still, suiting, basically. So, and very, simple jewelry and stuff. This is probably like the flashiest I generally get. But my style on the inside is like bright sundresses, big earrings, bright colors, big heels. That's what I want to wear. But I'm trying to build business, so I try to kind of just play that part, and I've heard that the best kind of thing to wear, if you only have one outfit, like enough money for one outfit, is just like a navy suit. You can get it at practically any quality and still look sharp. So. And it's honestly, it's helped me since my early days in the career, being 18 years old at Who's Out. So I just get taken more seriously, and they are constantly taking it. So.
Yeah. So for guys, I mean, when I go out, I wear, usually pants, right? Like, khakis, or not, I don't wear jeans. I don't wear a button-down shirt and a blazer. I like wearing a blazer. I used to always wear a tie. I look just like Thomas. I wear a tie. Shirt and tie, and like a sweater over it or something like Casper. That's what I would wear, especially if it was cold. I just didn't like my tie hanging around. That's just what I wore, right? And then, like for me, I mean, this is just me. Okay, some people, they can rock it. I don't care, right? But, I shave. I like to shave when I go out, and then I'll keep a little bit of facial hair. Some people, they have, like Luis, he has a beard. It looks good, though. It's a beard, right? Me, if I had facial hair, it wasn't that I looked good with facial hair, I just didn't shave. That's all it was. It was like, oh yeah, we can see he is not shaving. Right? Like Matt. You can tell, I'm just like that. Like that was me. If I didn't shave, like some people, they have it right, they have it lined up and they got it, you know what I'm saying? They got the strap and the whole thing. And some people even have a longer beard, right? Like that looks fine to me. Look, culturally, I think it is different, right? If you go into a shave, you tell me, what would you think? You're African American, you're black, what would you think if someone comes in? What do they have to look like?
Professional. Even in black people, even in our culture, it's still expected. Because black women are catty. I've had a woman a long time ago come at me for talking, doing a presentation, but looking at her husband. So I learned to, glance, talk to the wife, but still cover up. Because a lot of the times, and we talked about this on Thursday, some of the younger women in our office, they come in, tattoos are showing like they're going to the club, but it's not. It's just very unprofessional. So I believe in cover. I'm a slacks woman. Occasionally I will wear a skirt, but I wear slacks and a collar blouse that's covered up. My skin is covered completely just like this. And I had someone say, what about curves? Well, black women are naturally curvy. It's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with having curves. But you need to be covered up with professional, right? And not be loud, you know, as far as your makeup and things like that. Nothing should be hanging out. It should be up and professional.
Yeah. What do you think? I know you're a little bit younger, but like Spanish fine. I mean, is it a little bit different? Or?
No, definitely on earrings, tattoos. Gel hair is kind of like universal, but it's Spanish doesn't really care about that.
Right.
But, you know, collared shirt and baby fine, but definitely no tattoos. And like big heels, you know, for being that.
No.
At least my family really talk about that.
He's not saying it. He's saying what his family says.
Those are things that people know. Like when my sister goes out, they'll go on. So like, even when she's going to work, they're like, you're going to wear it to work.
And look, and I tell my friend that goes out, you know, I'll let me hear the new album, you know, whoever it is, Huncho Jack Huncho, whatever it is, right? But, you know, to put like a 529 for my daughter, not you. Okay, so I just, you know, just be cognizant of it, that's all, you know. I'm all for individual personalities and individualism and stuff like that. But I think that, you know, we want to err on being kind of conservative when going out, especially if the clients are my age and older, 100%. Okay, 100%. 100%. They're 37 and up, 40 and up. You know, you want to be well groomed, you want to be ironing your shirt, all that stuff. And you don't need nice stuff. I always remember that. You just need clean, neat stuff. Right? You don't need a freaking unbelievable car. No, I don't even my Mercedes. I won't park in the driveway now. I don't show it to people because some people might not do business with me because they think I'm trying to show off. I promise you. Like I don't like it. You know. I mean, I was thinking about getting some of these cars and you know they're a little louder and the pop 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 pop. You know. Because I like hearing it. You know. But maybe the client and I'm going in and I'm talking to them about getting their $50,000 and I come in, I don't want them thinking I'm some, you know, kind of slick willy salesperson. So, and I don't ever come across that on my kitchen table. I'll never come across that. That's my intention. I may, but I don't think so. So, anyways, I'm running out of time. All right, well, I'm not going to spend so much time. All right, it's already 11:30, so we're going to take a break. Okay, so listen, they're in class. I don't know when they're going to break. I'll talk to Ricky right now. Make sure you get with your teammates that are in class. Make sure you know, hey, how's it going? And always remember, your job is to give them the gift of belief. You're going to pass it. I know you're going to pass it. Be super encouraging of people. Super encouraging of people. I'll help you. What do you need? Let's go. This is the last time in. It's going to be awesome once you pass. And, you know, just give them that gift of belief. Man, you made it so far, you know, because sometimes they get tired. They want to leave early, you know, just make sure, right? You know, my guy came 20 minutes late. This is the first break. He's like, how long are you going to be here? Do I need to stay the whole time? I was like, come on, man. And you know, I mean, you know, I was like, come on, dude. I was like, you literally are here for half an hour. I was like, look, you're going to be fine to study. He might have left already. I don't know. That's why I kept peeking. Right? Because the thing is, I know he knows so many people, and if he actually got this, he could be good.
Yeah.
Right? You got a lot of people in that room that if they get this, they can be really good. Right? They know are people, they're motivated, good with people, people like them, they have credibility, but their habits are very poor. It's very hard to break. You need somebody like you. And we're going to take a lengthy break, come back after the break, make sure you set appointments. I know some of you guys are scurrying off all the time, and if you're not going to set appointments, don't distract your teammates, okay? Don't distract your teammates. Weather's warming up, people want to sit down and meet and buy life insurance.
Yes.
Roll over their money and get recruited. They're getting out of the freezer right now. They're de-thawed. I mean it. Right? Some of you guys are off to a great start in 2018. Keep it going. Some of you guys are going for your promotion. We're going to have our Super Saturday. Right? And you guys know our incentive for the month. Right? I pick, right? Winners, $1,500 in premium from now until the end of the month. It's the I pick. It's all about, you know, sometimes, you know, asking your partner, right? Like one thing is big for me is partnership, right? No, I'm being serious about this because it's not about, I don't care if your partner obviously logically can be your partner, your wife, your spouse, your husband, whatever, but you should always have a partner. Maybe your brother, maybe you have mother-daughter partnerships, best friend partnerships. You gotta freaking find a business partner. You gotta find one. That's what partnership is. Now obviously in the most logical, common sense, yes, it should be your spouse, right? But sometimes getting them to come to a meeting is not going to work. Getting them to come to a movie might work, right? Where they see other people, they're hanging out, and then they, you know, they replace their bad friends with good friends. Their unmotivated friends with motivated friends. Their friends that don't have goals with friends that have goals. You know why I can recruit people, right? If they meet my wife and kids, they're recruited. Because they want what I have. Not, look, I'm not saying my marriage is a roller coaster too, just like everybody, but I mean that. And I mean that with all humility, and I love being married. Okay, I enjoy it.
Text him right now.
Yeah, right. You don't need to text my wife. She's everywhere. She knows everything. No, I do love being married. I'm not joking. I love kids. I love my wife. I love being married. I love my family. I love everything. Everything. All the experiences. Every single thing about it. And when people come in, they feel that. And that's how I recruit people. They come in, they bring people around, man. Some people are going to freaking get it. They're going to see the movie and say, wow, okay. Because you know what? I saw it with Christian David and Bruce Koch and Jim Coker. I said, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. Instead of, you know, family just being a complete war zone, which sometimes it is, and I mean that. But you get a glimpse of what it's supposed to be like.